Hello, my name is Sip Mendes, and welcome to Sip's Techie Tips. And I've been wanting to make another MIDI video for quite some time, and I think I found just the right thing. This is the M-Audio Oxygen8 version 2. Okay, and it's a really nice keyboard. It has 25 keys, has these 8 knobs that these controls for your transport that work with your digital audio workstation. It does not have drum pads. It has a couple of wheels for modulation and pitch, and has a display that works with these buttons for your menus and controls. And I think it's a really nice keyboard. I really do. Everything was working on it when I got it. Everything worked fine. I did find a problem later, is that I would lose my connection to my USB. And it was this connector here. This is where the USB hooks in. And it fit loose from the very start. And I would hear it connect and disconnect, connect and disconnect. And eventually I could not get the connection back. And so I replaced that with another connector that I had from an old device, and replaced this one, and it's worked fine ever since. So I think it turned out to be a good investment. If you're new to this channel, click on subscribe. And if you want to be notified of each new video, click on the bell. That'll help me out, help everybody out, I think. Now, let's go to the overhead cam and we'll take a closer look. This is a 25 key keyboard. This is a C. This is middle C. And this is the next C up. Now, you can also access other keys on the keyboard. On a regular piano keyboard, you can go up an octave. This little display tells you what you've been doing. Go up another octave. One more. I guess that's the far end of it. Go down. That's as far down as we go. So this little display helps explain what you're doing, and these you can use as your control surface, so that when you're on your digital audio workstation, you can make adjustments from these knobs rather than having to reach for your mouse and move them on screen. There's also these, they call them transport buttons. This one will record, this one will play, this one will stop, this one will move you forward or back, and then this one will move you back to the beginning of your recording track. These are for the menu, and this can also be used as a mute. This is your modulation wheel, and you can see the values changing in the display. Now, this is one of those effects that I can't hear quite clearly. It changes the oscillation of the note. It makes it more intense or less intense. So this is at 0. That's at 60. And this is at 127. If I rotate the wheel back and forth, you might hear some change. Around 100 seems the best to me. This is the pitch wheel, and what this does is it changes the pitch. It's almost like loosening or tightening the string as you play. So that sounds like it went up. This sounds like it goes down or loosens. And that might be a nice effect you might use while playing. If you press this one, select, this will tell you which channel you're using. Okay, if you press it again, this is the program, and then this is the set of presets you're using, and you can change them by moving up and down. I'm not trying not to change them. Okay, advanced. This keyboard does not have software that will edit your settings. You have to do it from the keys and the keyboard. So if you want to change your velocity curve, that is how sensitive the keys are when you press them. Let's go ahead and set this back. So if you want to change the sensitivity of the keyboard, you can change the different velocity curves, and that determines how hard or how fast you have to strike the keys. Here, and this is inscribed with the words velocity curve. If you press it, it says I am using curve 3. If I want to change it to curve 1, I press the 1, and this one says enter, and I press enter. Now you may not notice it, but I have to strike it a little bit harder to get it louder. Now some keyboards have a setting of full volume as soon as you press the key. This one doesn't. It can go soft. If I hit it harder, it gets louder. And I really have to hit it really hard to get full volume. So I've been using curve 3. So to set it back, we press here. We go to velocity curve. We pick 3, and we press enter. So I'm not hitting it as hard now, but it's getting louder. So that helps me. Okay. And it will keep that when I turn it on or off. The knobs, they work with my digital audio workstation. And if I'm using a instrument that has 8 adjustments to it, like for brightness, hardness, glue, reverb, attack, release, tone, and volume, I can assign one to each one. Now I use Ableton Live Lite, and this keyboard is already in the presets. And so I can just use that preset and not worry about making assignments. There is an online manual, and you can download it from the M-Audio website, and that explains how everything else works. Let's look at the back of the unit. It can run solely from this USB connection, but I can also disconnect it. I can hook up a 12 volt DC power supply and a traditional MIDI interface cord and not use the USB, or I can hook it up to some other MIDI instrument and control it. So this is my DC power supply, this is my USB connection, this is my traditional MIDI out. I can hook up a sustain pedal here that has a 1/4 inch or 6.2 I believe plug, and it does have a functional on and off switch. So this keyboard is not your regular traditional keyboard. It's more of a portable piano type keyboard, and I usually call these paddles because they have a thin extended surface and they are not like traditional actual piano keys. They're a little bit lighter. They're operated by springs. They don't have the actual weight feel of a traditional piano keyboard. We're ready to connect our MIDI controller to our digital audio workstation, our DAW. I use Ableton Live Lite 10, and I received it with another keyboard I purchased. But if you want to get a trial version of this program, you can go to abletonlive.com and you can download it from there. Let's see. I like it. It works great. Simple, good colors. You can make a lot of changes to it. So what we need to do now is get these guys to talk to each other, this software to talk to my MIDI. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Options. I'm going to go down here to Preferences, and I'm going to go here to where it says Control Surface. And I'm going to drop that list and go down to Oxygen, which is right around here. Here it is. There's an Oxygen8 and an 8 version 2. I'm going to get that. I'm going to go to Input, and I'm going to do the same. And I'm going to go to Output, and I'm going to do the same. And that takes care of the connection between them. While we're here, we'll also look at look and feel. The only one I change in here is this one here. It says Zoom Display. If you compare these fonts to these fonts, you'll notice that they are smaller than these. And that's because I have the Zoom display set at 125. You can click in here and type in the value. 100 makes them as small as these. 150 makes them much larger. But these menus always maintain the same size font. All right, let's go to Audio. This says MME/DirectX. That's what I use. My computer is fast enough and doesn't present any problems. If you develop a problem with latency, that's the amount of time it takes to hear the note after you press the key, then you might try a different driver. This one is called ASIO, and there's a free one called ASIO, the numeral 4 ALL, and you can find it at asforall.com. I think that's the website name. Otherwise, use your search engine and you'll find it quite quickly. All right, so we'll leave this as it was. I don't change these. These are my audio input devices and output devices, and they're set to my stereo mixer, which is my computer. You can set up so that you can record 2 separate mono inputs, which is usually your instrument, and you also can set it up as 1 stereo input with a left and a right. Okay, let's go to folders. This is where your temporary files are being stored. This is where your cache folder is, and these are just things that the program uses. These settings I leave at the default. I have not made any changes to them. Libraries, this is where your settings will be stored and your files will be stored. And it calls them sets, and so your live sets will be where they will be stored. Let's see what else we have here. Plugins, this is where the plugins are located and aspects of how to use them. We have record, warp, launch, and these I leave them as they've been set. But there are things in here like waves. My files are stored as wave. My exported files are AIFs. Okay, and they can be stored as 24-bit, but you can also store them as 16-bit or 32-bit. When I do recordings, there's a metronome countdown, and it is for 2 bars. And there are other settings in here for arming and solo, and I leave them as they are in the default. Okay, and the last one is some information about licensing and use of the program. Okay, I'm going to reset this to where I was. Okay, so that is that. Okay, Ableton Live has two screens that are controlled by these two icons right here. One looks like columns, the other one looks like rows. If I click on the rows and hit a key, I will see some activity right here and right here. And that's because these two tracks are listening to all instruments. Anything that makes a noise, they're going to record it. They're going to be affected by it. The first thing we should do is click on all instruments and change it only to the keyboard. And I'm going to do this one also. I'm going to change it to listen only to the Oxygen8 V2. Now it is listening to all channels from these instruments. I'm going to change it to a specific channel. If I press a key, you'll notice that all channels and channel 1 are blinking. That means that the input from this instrument are going to channel 1 or coming from channel 1. So I'm going to click on channel 1. Now you'll notice that the other one, they're both still blinking. So I'm going to change this one to channel 3. And you'll notice that it is no longer receiving input. If this keyboard had keys and drum pads, you have to set the drum pads to a different channel. That way you won't get drum music when you hit the keyboard, and you won't get keyboard music when you hit the drum pads. That's how that works. All right. Now let's go get an instrument. This is the instrument rack. I click on the instrument rack, and I click on this little triangle, and that drops the list. I'm going to go get a piano. Here's the pianos. Each time you click on one of these instruments, you will get a sample of what it sounds like. Now there are piano keyboards and there are organs. It's a glass piano. It's a very tiny piano. I'm going to click on grand. Grand piano is pretty much the standard. You can use the other ones more creatively. All right, so to make this my instrument of choice, I can double click on it and it will appear in this panel, or I can click and drag it into this panel. And sometimes it takes a few seconds, even 8 or 10 seconds. And here is the instrument. Now, even if I close this, I can hear my piano. Very good. Okay, and that's how that is done. And again, you only see it up here. You also get an indicator of the volume, how hard you're hitting the keys. Let's assign the knobs. This keyboard has 8 knobs, and I can use it to control these attributes of my keyboard. Okay, volume is the simplest one to learn and understand. You can click on this and drag it up or down to change the volume. If I go down, the volume goes down. If I go up, the volume goes up. Okay, so let me set this back. You can also click on the number and type in the number. 0 is just normal. This is reverb. Reverb is a different attribute. It's almost like an echo, a slight echo. So if I hit a short chord here, that's what it sounds like. If I increase the reverb and let go of it, you can hear a little bit of an echo. Let me turn it all the way to the extremes. can hear the echo sound in it. I'm going to turn up the volume on my computer so you might record it a little better. Alright, so I'm going to set this down back to 10. Now, let's look at attack and release. Attack is how quickly the sound reaches full volume. And it's not very notable on pianos. But you can hear a little difference in it. Release, on the other hand, is more notable, more easily to understand. If my release is 0, as soon as I let up on the key, the note stops very abruptly. If I increase it, not yet, here we go, let's go 68. You can hear that it fades out. If I increase it and I let it go, that's at 120. And this is very much like sustain, is that you hit it, and even when you let go, it holds that volume. You can hear it fade away slowly. Okay, so I'm going to set this back to about, we'll set it at 60. Very good. All right, let's look at assigning these attributes to the knobs. To do that, you go up here and you click on MIDI. And you can see there are no assignments right now. I want to assign volume. I have 8 knobs and I have 8 attributes, so I'm going to assign them corresponding. So this is the second row, the rightmost control, and I will click first on volume to make sure I clicked on it. I'm going to turn my volume knob, and when I do, it recorded an entry here. It says control code 13 coming from the grand piano, volume, and it can go from minus infinity, which is like no sound, all the way to a +6 of +6 dBs of sound or volume. All right, let's go ahead and assign reverb. I'm going to assign reverb the same way. All I got to do is click on reverb, turn it, and made that assignment. I'm going to do attack. I'm going to change that one. I'm going to do release, move that one, and you can see that it's assigning them. And I'm not doing them in any particular order. I just want to make sure that they all get assigned. And if you assign one and you want to remove it, highlight it and hit the delete key, and that'll get rid of them. All right. Now, while I'm here, I can also assign my buttons. I have some transport buttons on my keyboard, and I'm going to assign it to these 3, which look just like them. I'm going to click on stop and hit the stop button. I'm going to click on record and record button, and I'm going to click on play and press the play. And here they are: stop, start, and global record. And that takes care of it. To turn this function off, just click on MIDI again, and you're done. So let's go ahead and record something. Let's go ahead and we'll do it from the keyboard since I've already got them programmed. I'm going to click record. And then I'm going to press stop. I'm going to press stop again, and that'll rewind it. And I'm going to press play. That's how easy it is to do. Now I can use either the buttons, transport buttons up here, or the transport buttons on my keyboard. It's easier to use the ones on the keyboard because I don't have to go looking for my mouse, and I don't have to go looking for where those are on the screen. Well, I really enjoyed doing this video for you. I hope you learned something. And if you enjoyed the video, click on like. If you're not a subscriber, click on subscribe. If you want to be notified of each new video, click on the bell. And each time I publish a new video, you'll get a notice. Okay? Well, it's been fun. Hope to do another one for you soon. Until next time, take care.